Welcome, baseball fans. It is time once again for the Running the Bases podcast. I'm Tucker Wells, joined as always by Coach Jordan Bounds. Coach, how are you, good sir?
Pretty good, thanks.
All right. Are you enjoying the start of the Olympics?
I've watched more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I haven't watched any. But
I liked women's handball.
yeah, I when I think handball, I think of like one-on-one playing in a gym, but it's
sport.
not.
It's a team sport. Reminded me a lot of lacrosse
I see.
without sticks.
Are they on like opposite sides of a court? Is like,
There's a net on each side.
and it's not volleyball.
No.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to check this
There's
out.
a net on each side.
Yeah. Well,
Difficult for volleyball to have a net on each side.
Well, I can't even. I'm gonna have to look it up because. But you've
like
intrigued
lacrosse.
me.
Kinda
You've intrigued me.
Well,
So
all right.
you can become a handball spokesperson. All right. Well, anyway, we've got quite a good bit to get to today. A topic I am so excited to talk about for our first to third: the New York Yankees and the current state of the empire. But before that, right out of the box here, Ichiro Suzuki, 3,000 hits. How about Ichiro, huh? Just give him some love. Give him some love.
What love do you want? He is
Surefire first ballot Hall of Famer?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Unanimous, perhaps?
That may happen someday when some of these people die who never believe in first ballot nominations.
Right. Who do you think has a better chance, Ichiro or Jeter, to be unanimous?
Well, Jeter has the New York press. Ichiro, being in Seattle, is probably going to have a couple of haters on the East Coast. But Ichiro
Sure.
has the element of time that makes it, Jeter's going to come up before Ichiro.
Well, I think the thing about Jeter is that you're going to have some Boston sports writers that are
That's true.
not going to vote him just to spite. More on that for our first and third. But as far as, greatest hitters of all time, and before even that, I think it gets overshadowed so much just how great of a defender he is.
Ichiro is, and by the way, notice all of the attention on Seattle in the last,
Yeah.
we have Griffey going to the Hall of Fame, and he goes in really as a Mariner, and we have this whole ARod thing now who starts in Seattle, and Ichiro, who, I'm always going to associate as a Mariner.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Ichiro is one of he is, I think, the best all-around player post-Griffey.
Yeah, that is high praise right there. And one of the most memorable swings of all time.
Real Rod Carew-like, but...
Yeah, well, like I said, memorable.
Yeah.
A la Rod Carew. So where does he rank to you as far as hitters all-time Major League Baseball? Top 20? Top 10?
Oh, no, I can't say. Whereas he could hit with some power, he's not. Am I going to put him in the same category as Ted Williams or Babe Ruth or something like that? No. But did Babe Ruth have to hit against relief pitchers? No. Did Babe Ruth have to hit against black people? No. So I think baseball. I love the numbers, but to try and compare them, I don't think it's possible. I think Ichiro is the best non-juiced hitter of your generation.
Yeah, that's. Clearly.
With the exception maybe of Griffey.
Yeah, that's true. They're 1 and 1A for sure. And
Right.
again, yeah, amazing that both are from the Great Pacific Northwest.
We also had Johnson get into the Hall of Fame 2 times ago. So there's this, and that's pretty
Last
much,
year. That was
right.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much. That's pretty much it. Edgar should get in. I like Griffey, but
Yeah.
I digress.
Right. And then there is the ARod debate, which we will get to first to third. So much good stuff in the first to third today. So final thought on Ichiro. How much longer will he play baseball? He said he wants to play until he's 50. Julio Franco did it. So
No, he played till he was 48, didn't he?
Major
he didn't
League.
play till he was 50.
Major League, but I thought he and Oil Can Boyd were like still, in the minors system playing past 50. But
Well, all right. And also with, and I don't mean this to in any way sound racist, but because of passports and visa type situations, there are a lot of Hispanic players that are a little bit older than their said age. So, who knows? Julio may have been 62,
yeah,
he certainly had an unnatural body.
yeah, that's true. He did not pass the eye test after a certain point. But I guess a final thought on Ichiro. What to you is your signature Ichiro moment from his prime career? Like what moment in your mind stands out?
There is no particular moment.
Yeah.
I do think it's fitting that his 3,000th hit was a triple.
Yeah.
Just like Pete Rose's hit that, I forgot which was his 3,000th, I think was a double. But the Ichiro's number of hits, the years that he had, he never walked. He's actually had more walks, unintentional walks this year than he ever has, percentage-wise.
Yeah, maturing finally.
Yeah. But the total number of hits that he had year in and year out was just incredible.
Yeah, I would think two things: breaking Sisler's record for hits
Right.
in a single season, but then I forget who it is that he nails at third. I think it might have been Adrian Beltre, but that wouldn't
Who
make
may
sense,
be
but
the next person to get 3,000 hits?
that's interesting. I wasn't even aware that he was close, within striking distance.
Within a year and a half.
Okay. So Ichiro, in addition to breaking Sisler's record in a single season, it's played time and time again his outfield assist from seemingly the corner of the wall
Right.
to gun down the runner at third. And I forget who the runner was. That's what I'm trying to remember. But those two things stick out the most. Really hope that he plays in October. And maybe this year, of course, that's hoping the Marlins are successful, which is a tough pill to swallow. But I'm thinking he goes another 3 or 4 years.
Oh,
honestly,
he can if he wishes to. It was when he tipped his hat yesterday, and you saw all that gray hair.
Yeah,
You have to maybe wonder.
yeah, but it's awesome. It's awesome,
Yeah.
and he really, I think, also he's like the standard bearer for Japanese hitters.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No doubt about it.
that crossed over.
Our Asian position players.
Yeah, of the Pacific Rim, and it runs the base as well. I mean, he's halfway to first when he's makes contact.
Was a tremendous player.
Yeah, and with all of the the dark ages of the late 20-aughts, and it's just great to celebrate such a great player.
Right.
So, all right, but now going first to third, we are in a post trade deadline world, and in that trade deadline, the Yankees of New York were in fact the sellers that I was saying they would be. The state of the empire. I mean, they are in, for the first time in how long? 20 years? 20 plus years? They are in full-on rebuilding mode. ARod is retiring. This will be his last game coming up on Friday. Mark Teixeira announces his retirement. What do you make of the New York Yankees? The vaunted New York Yankees, who appear to, by all accounts, be down in the dumps right now.
They'll be fine. I'm not worried about the Yankees.
Fair enough.
I think in 2018 that they will make a significant push to have Bryce Harper in right, in right, and Machado at third, and they will be fine. They are freeing up $80 million. So do I worry about them? No. What I see is that they have acquiesced to the idea that you have to start over. You can't. You have to go the path of the Cubs and the Astros and teams of this nature in today's world. They are. They're not. They're trying to be smart.
Right. Well, as you have long said, the Yankees are the brand of baseball. I mean, they have been going back to Babe Ruth in 1920 until now. So what does this say about the game, the state of the game, that the vaunted empire is willing to surrender even one time? I mean, you're right. By all accounts, in 2018, they put together the greatest lineup seen since 1927. But in the meantime, right now, they are a quad A club
They
on the front line. So what does that say about the state of the game?
A shift in the power structure. It is shifting more toward the players than it is toward the owners. And part of this is because of the collective type ownership that we have in today's very high-priced entertainment industry. There are more liberties than there are Ted Turners. And
Sad to say.
The Yankees are more of a corporate team. It's not just George Steinbrenner running the show anymore. I mean,
Right.
I know his son is, but it's more of a corporate structure. And we don't have tycoons throwing out money just irrationally. You're not going to have a Gene Autry one year after another spend fortunes trying to amass a team with free agency and fail miserably.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's just not going to happen anymore.
Well, Ted Turner kind of the same thing for a long time.
Right. But the state of baseball baseball is what it is. Now, you could always tell how the Yankees were the face of baseball by going to other countries. Wherever you went in other countries, you would see people wearing Yankee hats.
Right, yeah.
Now, you would also see them wear Red Sox hats. I will admit that, but not anywhere near the propensity of Yankee hats. It'll be interesting if we see otherwise with that this year.
Right. I mean, absolutely. They are the empire.
Right.
About George Steinbrenner, you look at Teixeira and ARod and CeCe, who Sabathia has, I think, 1 year left on his restructured contract, and it's pending it's a vesting option. So even if he plays next year, we're at the end of that. So those are the last of the George Steinbrenner era type signings.
I think we'll see McCann gone as well.
Right. And Ellsbury as well, if they can move him, I feel like they would. But with Hank, is the new boss, quote unquote, in any way like the old boss? I mean,
no.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere
George
close.
Steinbrenner was unique.
Yeah.
He was indicted.
Yeah, and
He went to jail.
much like a certain candidate running for the president of the United States right now. They were close friends, by the way.
Yes, they were.
If you had any other reason to hate the Yankees, there's one for you. But so, I mean, is there the same desire to play in New York in the pinstripes like there was in the past? It would seem...
Oh, I think there is still a desire to play in New York or L.A., or one of these tremendous markets. If you're doing a commercial on the Yes Network, I think you're probably making a lot of money off that commercial.
Sure. The money has almost become a wash. There's so much.
The salary is, but I mean the money. We've talked about this before. There is going to be an increasing advantage for the Astros and the Rangers, and the Marlins, and go for these multi-millionaire contracts going to these states where there's no state income tax.
Right.
When you're making $50 grillion a year, then the lack of a state income tax is a raise that other states can't give you.
Right. You've seen this in NBA
Yes,
quite a
we
bit.
have
It's a
seen it.
big
Right.
decision point with their CBA. And so is it fair to say, or have you heard that that's going to come up in the baseball CBA as well?
Oh, I don't know. There's so much coming up in the baseball CBA. I can't see how they're going to get to half of it as it is.
Yeah. Oof. Seems like could be a cliff we're all about to drive over. But you said this as well, and it's true. You know, you're starting to see more Red Sox hats as you look internationally and travel and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the Red Sox have just as many name international stars as the Yankees seem to always hoard, or Seattle for that matter. So are we living in a world now where the NY is not the brand of baseball, and in fact it would be an LA or a B or perhaps the Chicago Cubs?
I still think, I mean, how long has it been since the Yankees have been good? Okay. All right.
They were in it last year.
Well, no, since they've been really good.
Oh,
I mean,
well,
yeah.
you could argue not since 2003, 2004. I mean, they've been they haven't.
So I think 2006, you could say, but
They bought the World Series in 2009.
Right.
That was the year of Teixeira.
right.
Yeah,
I mean,
CC.
so put the Yankees back in the series once, and they're the brand again. They're
Okay.
the team we all love. I mean, New York is the city. Maybe I don't know. Maybe if you live in Japan, you may see LA as the city. But as
Right.
far as Europe goes and all of that, New York is the city. So I don't know.
But you look at where the greater influx of baseball passion comes from. I mean, it certainly is the Pacific Rim versus
Versus the Caribbean, I don't know about that.
well,
I disagree.
Caribbean, but in Europe, like where in Europe?
well, Caribbean, it's going to be New York.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
you're talking wherever. So
I don't have the population figures
how
in
many
front of me.
major league players come from the Caribbean? How many come from the Pacific Rim?
Well, sure.
A lot in both cases, but a lot more come from the Caribbean and Mexico and Colombia and Venezuela and Dominican and blah 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 blah.
Sure, fair points all. But, you look at Matt Kemp. He gets traded from the Padres to the Braves. Woohoo! But he talks about how he was a Braves fan growing up.
Uniquely because of the station, of
Exactly.
the superstation, but that doesn't exist anymore. That uniqueness that the Braves had, in that time period.
But on that point, you can see just as many Dodgers games through the channels, as you can see Yankees games.
I'm saying the Dodgers are a legitimate, but it just has never been, the passion in LA for the Dodgers that there has been for the Yankees in New York.
That's true.
Ever. They famously leave the game early, get there late,
But in New York, they're not showing up at all.
Well, now because they lose, look, I'm saying put the Yankees in the series again, and they're
right back at it.
Right.
What about that bite, though? I mean, the New York Yankee crowd, the fans, that was their secret weapon, if you will.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is the bite gone from the bleacher creatures out there?
Put them back in 1 year, and it's right there.
It's so expensive to go to the games now, though. Those legend seats
that is true.
And all these things.
That is true. It is expensive. But, most of my youth, I first became aware of baseball really in 57. And, that year, Mantle's hitting a triple crown. And, the year that I could quote everybody's batting average and, the earned run averages, and I knew everything on every team was 1961. Mantle and Maris are doing the thing. The Yankees until 64 were, my youth. Then in 64, they drop off the earth. They're awful. They are the worst, they're one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the game for years. Steinbrenner picks them up. He starts spending a fortune, and the Yankees are right back there, and the fans are right back. When you have all of the people that New York has in support of that team, it doesn't take much.
I understand all that, but I've wanted to declare the end of the empire for years, going back to 1996. So now to even remove my own kind of bias from it, the arms race seems so much closer now. Like if the Yankees have a gap like they're experiencing right now, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, the Cubs, they all take advantage. And then how soon are those
So have the Braves taken advantage? I mean, in their international signings this year, because of other teams that couldn't sign people. Hart ingeniously focusing on this year when the Cubs and the Dodgers and all these teams couldn't buy international players and the Red Sox, and so they could go out and get the chips that they wanted to get. But the Yankees never do that. They're targeting the year where everybody becomes available, and they're going to get them.
Yeah.
They'll spend more than anybody else.
But I'm not so sure.
The Dodgers are the only team that can financially compete with the Yankees.
Red Sox, Cubs.
They cannot compete with but the Yankees can spend. Do you think is anybody going to outspend the Yankees for Harper?
Well, no. In the case of Bryce Harper, no. But the Nationals may be able to convince him back because they might be able to convince him back. Is anybody going to offer more money? No one's going to offer more money, but what's the power? What's the value of that?
Of money?
Of them having more money because it's the salaries and the sponsorship opportunities have gotten so astronomically high that.
And the sponsorship things are going to be higher in New York than they are anywhere else.
But all these players now, they live in L.A. in the off season for the most part. I mean, how much is
I don't know that they all live in L.A.
A good number of them do. They have, they have at least property in L.A. so they can shoot commercials.
Well, they got property everywhere. I mean, shoot,
right.
The dream team right now is staying on a cruise ship outside of Rio. I mean, they live wherever the hell they want to live.
Right, showcasing the amateur athletes of the world, of course.
Right.
I don't know. I don't think that the power of the purse, as you are saying, carries as much favor or impact. Because
talk to Zach Greinke.
Well, okay.
And he's just being honest.
So, all right. So
everybody else saying when this has been code for years. When somebody says that money is not the determining factor, that means money is the determining factor.
But
I'm offered $20 million from Cleveland. I'm offered $16 million from San Diego. San Diego's a great place to live. What salary am I going to take? I'll take the $20 million in Cleveland, and I'll live in San Diego.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that you're going to always have players like that, where that is all it's about. But you look at, I mean, we've talked long about how there are certain teams that have to be good. For the sake of the games. I mean, it's in the NBA with the Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, in the NFL with the Patriots, the Giants, the I don't know, wherever Peyton Manning was playing. Miss you, Peyton. I did that like he's dead. I didn't mean to do that.
He's around at the grocery store every morning. Every Sunday morning.
Right. Peyton, we miss you already, buddy, out on the field. But the point is
he's listening to us.
I hope so. You never know. The point being is that with all this parity and the fact that, teams all have these cable networks, all these different things, how important is it for the Yankees to be good, to be on the top of the heap?
Oh, I think I think how awful it would be if both the Red Sox and the Yankees were down in the American League. Who would be the villains?
Right.
I mean, we need a villain.
It holds true. It definitely holds true.
I
don't know why the Cardinals couldn't take hold as a larger national villain. I mean,
I know, but because they're in the Midwest, and so we think they're nice.
Right. Well, I'm arguing the power of the purse as far as you talk as if the Yankees just have this built-in, they're going to get everybody because of that fact. But,
Oh, no, they won't get everybody. But when they want to go out and get Teixeira, when they want to go out and get CeCe, when they want to go out and get ARod, when they want to go out and get all these people, they do. They spend more money than anybody else.
All right. So that's fair.
They
do in fact do that.
Everybody, but
there's only 25 spots
they
on the
are
roster.
hurting for it right now, but they're correcting it. They're getting rid of all these people.
And how much credit do you give to Cashman for his job in the sellers market?
It looks like he's done a pretty good job.
I think it was a great job.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chapman trade alone, we talked about that last time. I mean, what he flipped to get Chapman versus then
buying him
trading
originally. Yeah, I mean.
Right, exactly. So, of the big changes happening with the Yankees right now, ARod announces his retirement. What was ARod? What was ARod? Who is ARod? What could he have been? And do you think he will eventually find his way into the Hall of Fame?
Nah, it's too many questions.
All right, well let's take the first one. Let's take the first one first. He's done finally. There's no more speculation.
There is some that in a couple of years he might come out of retirement, kind of like that Mr. 3000, to get his 700th home run.
Right.
But ARod is to me one of the sad poster children of the steroid era. I mean, he, as well as Bonds and Clemens, could have been the best. He might have been the best shortstop ever, at least of the live ball era. Honus Wagner was the best player of his day, but we can't compare the eras.
Right?
We've said this. At least in the post Jackie Robinson years, there is nobody that could have been a better shortstop than ARod. I mean, if steroids had never been invented, nobody had ever invented, and he had just played naturally, I believe, I don't know, he might have been juiced when he was 12, so, I don't know.
He looked like just a super athlete, nothing added to the mix when he was a prospect. But
he does, but I mean, I don't know, but, and I certainly, there's no way to believe anything.
Right. When it comes to him, when it comes to ARod.
Let's assume that when he was 22, he was natural. And that person could have gone on, if he remained healthy, and been the greatest shortstop of modern baseball.
Now, Derek Jeter, of the same class, and, they were bros for a minute, Jeter could have still fit into his rookie uniform the year that he retired. So, obviously, ARod was always cast as the villainous stepbrother.
Jeter came up a Yankee, so he was their boy,
Sure.
But ARod, who's a lot more socially insecure than is Derek Jeter, New York playboy, that he's willing to acquiesce, and I think I've used the word acquiesce twice in the same podcast.
That's all right. That's a 5-star word. That's good.
But he goes to short, whereas Jeter stays, solid at shortstop. Rodriguez goes to third.
Right. ARod goes to third.
Jeter stays at short. ARod had been the Gold Glove winner at short.
Right.
But he, for the sake of his team and to fit in ARod, and maybe this is insecurity, whatever, but it should have been the other way around. Jeter was not the hitter that ARod was ever. He was Jeter, a solid Hall of Famer and everything else, but in terms of the impact on the game, ARod was bigger.
Right. And is it because of that social awkwardness that all of those talents of ARod that you mentioned, I mean, obviously the steroid thing, you never shake that whenever you mention all of his accomplishments and prowess, but Are we forgetting about just how good he was because he's so socially awkward?
Oh, he was really good. I mean, of all the people
In
that signed anybody over a 10-year period who signed one of the big contracts, he has in that period, other than Pujols' extension with the Cardinals, not his contract with the Angels, but Pujols has an 8.0 for a 10-year period there, WAR, whereas ARod 7.1 is the highest of anybody else. Nobody's even close. So, I mean, ARod was an unbelievable player. Probably juiced the whole time. I don't know. I don't give him a single break. I think, he was a cheater, and don't give me this hazy bit where they weren't testing that much in those days. No, forget it. It was not socially acceptable. It was nobody talked about it. Players weren't, oh yeah, I'm juiced all the time. No, it was not. There was intimidation in the clubhouse if you talked about it. If reporters came in, asked Verducci about coming in and asking people to pee in a cup, and being physically intimidated and stuff. No, and that's what ARod did. He cheated. He does not deserve the credit. He could have been the greatest that ever was. But his insecurities, whatever you want to blame it on, he didn't. My image of ARod forever, when I think of his head size to his body, but I also think of that image of him as a centaur. That is the lasting image I have of ARod.
Well, you got to admit, he was a hell of a villain.
Yes.
He was. There was no one better to hate than ARod. It was perfect. It was from central casting.
His running across the field and yelling, "I got it" and stuff on just No.
Well, that's the thing. Is there any signature ARod anything that was positive? Because I mean, like, you're right. The Veritek fight. I have that image of Veritek sticking his, glove and mask and everything else into ARod's face.
Right.
And then the slap, the purse, like he's being robbed. Like he's a 90-year-old woman getting robbed.
I'm sorry, my lasting image of ARod is as a centaur.
Right. And for those who haven't seen this before, ARod commissioned a very reputable artist in New York to paint him as a centaur. Go Google that if you haven't seen it already. But so, I don't know.
Look, he may have been the greatest player ever if he was unjuiced. But that doesn't mean I have to like him.
Oh, no, absolutely. You don't have to like anybody if you don't want to. And he is so wonderfully unlikable. Right. But is there anything about ARod, a signature moment that was positive? Can you think of a big hit or a big defensive play?
The last time the Yankees go to the World Series, is it
2009?
Yeah, I mean,
he actually wins one.
Going down the stretch, ARod brought that to him. I mean, after all of his October failures, he had an OPS of over 800. I mean, it was, that
was a good stretch.
I mean, it really was. And good for him for that. He's probably couldn't see straight. He had so many drugs in him, but all right. You asked a question earlier about the Hall of Fame. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? I mean, that I am of the belief that if you cheat, you do not. But we know,
I share that belief.
But this whole. I believe he may very well get in. I think the things are generations who didn't go through this thing. But am I willing to forgive ARod? Am I willing to forgive Sammy Sosa? If I forgive ARod, Sammy Sosa should be a first ballot.
Yeah.
And Sammy Sosa is white today. He's done so many drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so unnatural.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be unquestionably in the annals of great what ifs.
Right.
Possibly top 10. I mean, of the best who never was. He's officially a never was because at no point did he maintain any integrity to be deserving of the accomplishment. You
look at his rookie year, though. Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Destined for great. That Seattle team, I think if you look at 1999 or no, like 97, 98, you've got Edgar, Griffey, ARod, Randy Johnson. Who am I leaving out? I mean, that Seattle team was chock full of the best in the league, all on one staff.
One thing to say about ARod that, well, every team, when he left Seattle, they became better. When he left Texas, they became better. When he leaves the Yankees, they're going to become better.
Yep. Was it 4 straight last place finishes with ARod on the Yankees, or 3 in a row? But he won, or on the Rangers rather. Right. But I think he won an MVP in like 2 of them. Or never a more hollow MVP trophy than the ones that have been awarded to him. So, well, all right. Well, this was just fantastic. Any final thoughts on the Yankees before we bury them for 2 weeks, and then of course they'll sign whatever and be great again?
Well, we're going to bury them for they're not going to be good. They probably won't be good in 2018. It'll take them a year to kind of meld together, and stuff. But it'll be interesting how the players that they do go out and sign become instant villains. Then,
sure.
When you sign with the Yankees for all of this unglorious amount of money, think of how beloved CeCe was. Think Teixeira didn't have anything. McCann always. McCann was the defender of the old time ways. And stuff. And maybe ARod was that. But it's Catfish Hunter. You go back in the days. There's signings when you become a Yankee. Reggie. You become the villain, and I think that'll be interesting. And I think the Yankees know this. They have known this. The Eric Shows and the failures of people that have been free agents that they have signed that have not made it in New York, who could not become a New York player, with all of the stigma around it and everything, that they knew. The Yankee ownership have learned that they have to sign a particular type of person who is willing to be hero to millions and villain to millions at the same time.
There is no in between.
No. People have always said, what would Hank Aaron have done on that market? Well, he probably wouldn't have done as well.
Right, sure.
And Willie Mays would have thrived.
Yeah. Well, he was already in New York.
He was.
So,
okay.
in all fairness, I guess a final thought and question for you: will the Yankees ever be feared again the way that they were in the? You think so?
No. Wait a minute. Well, let me qualify that. The Yankees are never going to have the kind of dynasty that they had. That's just not going to happen.
That is where the game has changed.
Right.
Unquestionably.
Where you had 8 teams in the league and 3 of them were farm teams for the Yankees. That's not going to happen anymore. There is more equity. Will they be back on top? Yes. Will they be the villains? Yes. And baseball kind of needs that, just like we've talked about this, just like,
absolutely.
You got to have the Lakers, you got to have the Celtics around, and somehow or another the league, and you got to have the Patriots to hate,
Right.
You got, and it's good when the Packers are good, and what kind of market is that? What kind of market is Green Bay?
Well, that's football for you.
Yeah, but that's just TV market anyway. Will they be great again? Yes. Will they be as solid of a franchise as the Cardinals? I don't know that will ever happen again.
It'll be up to the new boss,
You're right.
who is not the old boss, to see if he really decides to stick with this build from within versus just go out and start spending again.
Yeah, the new boss looks at the bottom line.
There is that.
The old boss was more about ego and counterpunching and
and championships.
Yes.
To his credit, he wanted to win.
He didn't want to be a loser.
He always hit the ball further.
Yeah.
The 96 to 2001, the Jeter dynasty, and Posada, Pettit, they're all in there as well. Bernie Williams. Will we ever see anything like that again from the Yankees?
Oh, I think 2018, they're going to spend their money with more intelligence that they have in the past, and they will sign a lot of young players to longer contracts than people did in the past. So you're talking a 7 or 8 year period where you could have Harper, Machado, and who knows, who else filling out a team. Yeah, they could be there 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. I doubt if those 7 or 8 years they would be the perennial favorite that those Jeter-led teams were. But
and a difference. Some of those Yankees came from Yankee farm systems.
That is the difference.
Yeah, I mean, and now if the Yankees now are able to put together some, I mean, they have Cashman's made some good deals, now, but we'll see.
Yeah. Fascinating times that we live in when the New York Yankees are firmly in the sellers market. It's 2016. Never thought I'd see the day. So couldn't have happened to a better organization. So, all right. Well, coming into home, Coach, I'm going to be away from home for a while. I will next see you in the month of September as pennant races are in their final stretches. So what are you looking forward to the most? Now with the trade deadline passed and as we get closer and closer to October, since I'm not going to see you for a while.
Well, it is interesting to see how your Tigers are doing in
my Tigers. How about my Tigers?
Division where that has nobody really asserting themselves except the Tigers, who are broken. It is interesting to see the Giants falling apart right now. The Mad Bum can't have any runs scored for him.
Unbelievable.
If Kershaw comes back, here, we might see Ichiro in the playoffs in October because the Mets have just fallen apart.
Yeah.
But I think we have a lot of interesting races. There are not any real team. I'm really shocked at how the Astros have fallen apart recently. I think they are still one of the best teams. In part of it's Keuchel just bites.
Yeah, when you go from Cy Young to where he's at now,
to Cy Old. So I mean. There are a lot of it's coming toward the end of the year. It's always fun.
Well, as we predicted about the American League from the onset of this season, it's truly up for grabs. I mean, you couldn't say with absolute certainty who's got the inside track. Looking at the National League, though, Nationals Cubs seems like we're almost destined for that at this point.
We the three, I think, didn't we both say that the three division leaders would be the division leaders right now?
Right. Well, I'm going to fall on this sword as many times as I have to because I'm so embarrassed. But I went with the Diamondbacks, who are now neck and neck for the cellar with our vaunted Atlanta Braves. So.
You were not alone.
I know. Gives me a little bit of comfort.
I think we both had the Pirates doing better than they did. We didn't think McCutchen would fall apart.
Do you think McCutchen will be traded?
I think there's a distinct possibility because the Pirates have he's just so popular there, though.
There is that.
But $17 million next year and a club option, I think, for the next year with $1 million buyout. Pirates may need to. That
would be a painful end to that era.
Yeah, it would be.
That really should have been in the World Series at some point.
Right now, I'm hoping the Marlins knock the Cardinals out of the wild cards. Thing. That's my,
the Braves. We took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals this past weekend.
No, absolutely.
That's like our World Series this year.
Yeah, I know.
And I think wasn't that the first time we've won in a series in St. Louis since like the Eisenhower administration or something?
Like it's been a long time.
The height of the Cold War, maybe.
Yeah. Right. It's been a long time since Red Shandies was at second.
Right. The National League, it really seems to be the Cubs world that we're all living in over there. But
the Nationals are right there.
Nationals are right there. Great pitching from Tanner Roark as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Strasburg, despite everything, is right there in the Cy Young hunt, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody here picked him, I think. Somebody picked Mookie Betts as a good choice. If the Red Sox come back, there are 2 games, but that's the easiest. the most exciting race, with
The American
the
League East.
Orioles, Blue Jays, and Red Sox all right there.
Yeah, and just how far the Yankees will fall. But I'm going to soak it up for as long as I can. But speaking of preseason predictions, comeback player of the year, Justin Verlander.
Absolutely.
What a month he had.
He has. I said that earlier. Now, is there anybody else who's come back from broken injury in the American League? See, I don't think that should be the comeback player of the year just because you were injured and come back. But that general, is there somebody who was just out all last year who's come back?
It would take a little research to know for certain, but
Verlander
is the front runner. So.
Okay. By the way, here is when you're talking about the Yankee brand, what team do you think will be the last to sell advertising on their uniform?
The Chicago Cubs.
No, I don't think so. They'll be right there.
Yeah.
They'll be one of the first.
Yeah. I don't know if Hank Steinbrenner, as you say, is about that bottom line, the Yankees may go ahead and do it because the Rays just couldn't find anybody. So the Rays would be last.
Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, for us, we've got some exciting stuff coming up. We're getting closer and closer to having this new road show for running the bases, and we'll be covering more World Baseball Classic qualifiers coming up in September. So a lot of exciting things coming down the pike for our website here. So, but as always, thank you to everyone watching on the YouTube channel. You can always find our podcasts on iTunes or at SoundCloud, and everything Running the Bases at runningthebases.com. So, for Coach Bounds, I am Tucker Wells. This has been the Running the Bases podcast. We're coming into home. Coach, I will see you in September.
September, let it be.
All right. You take care, good sir.
Good night.